call. And community updates. Brad.
Yep, present, and no new news from my area that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Connie?
I can see her.
Yeah, I'm present. No news.
Daniel Brown?
Yep, I'm here. No significant updates that I can think of in our watershed.
Daniel Burlingame? Dave Wynn? Gail Manswitz? Gail Dugan? Jason Legowski?
Yeah, I'm here, and no significant updates other than it's cold.
And a lot of snow.
Yep.
Joe? John?
Yep, here. I don't have any significant updates.
Lois? Lynn Knopf?
She's here. Lynn, you want to Lynn Knopf, you want to unmute yourself? Maybe she can't, so.
Lynn McIntosh?
Yes, I am here. I wish I had a significant update. I wish I knew about what was happening with the water well sampling in Cortland Township. But so I just say that because it's on my mind every time I don't know. But I'll leave it at that.
Mary Blanchard?
Is that Mary trying to unmute or?
I don't know.
It was interesting.
Where? Patty Baldwin?
I am here. No updates.
Fisher?
I'm here. No updates.
Richard Burns? Rick Radisky?
Present, no updates.
Camera? Sandy?
Here, the only updates is, I'm probably stealing the thunder from MDHHS, but the health studies are starting back up for this round. So if you're in the Belmont, Rockford, Cooper Township, Richland area, make sure you sign up for those if you're eligible. That's it.
Lee?
Oh, did you hear me?
No.
Oh, I'm here. No update. Sorry.
Stacy Taylor?
Here.
Ooh, hear ya.
Teresa Landrum? Tony?
Here, I had the opportunity to present in December before Christmas at the White House Freshwater Partnership Challenge, and just want to say thanks to a number of folks on this call who were able to participate and attend. Also, want to give a shout out to MDHHS on the exposure assessment procedures and testing in Oscoda. They did a remarkable job there, and were incredibly great to work with. So always good to say thanks for a job well done.
Sandy, I'm here. Teresa, I couldn't find my unmute button. Everything's changed for me here. Couple updates. We have comment periods that are open for EES Coke Battery as well as Fritz. One of the company that has been flying, in my opinion, under the radar for of the community. So both of the comment periods are open. You can go to the Eagle website and look up Fritz, Fritz, and you can look up EES Coke Battery and in regards to what their permits are for and the request. And comment period is open now. Thank you.
You know how long that comment period goes for, Teresa?
I think ES Coke Battery goes to the 24th of February. I will have to check on Fritz and see. I know it's in February, but I don't know the exact date.
All right. I'd encourage people to look at that if they could. I think those comment periods are really important. And I do know that they look at those. So even if you
Right.
don't live there, it's important to be supportive throughout our state.
Right. And I don't know if many of you know that the EPA has filed suit against ES Coke Battery and DTE Energy. So the community organization and the Sierra Club and the city of River Rouge, we filed to be interveners, and the judge has allowed us into the lawsuit. And Ben Crump, the attorney that has been handling a lot of cases, he is now advertising for people in our area that have prostate cancer, all kind of cancers, to contact him. So he's doing an advertisement, open advertisement. People are calling me about it. I'm like, I'm an intervener. I don't know, what, So, but we're dealing with that right now. So you can go on and you can put in DTE lawsuit, Ben Crump, environmental, and you can find out more information about that as well.
All right. Connie, you got your hand up. Is this about this too?
Yeah, I just want Teresa to know that I submitted comments on that Coke site. And one of what they want to do, I don't know if you saw this, they want to make most of the downriver Detroit area as an attainment for SO2. My comments were, this is really premature because the Gordie Howe Bridge, with all of its trucks and vehicles, is going to emit massive amounts of SO2. We still have the steel plant on the west side where Ford Motor Company is. So for them to say, let's make this an attainment without looking at the cumulative impacts that we're going to have from the Coke plant on Zug Island, from the existing steel plant, and from the brand new Gordie Howe Bridge is, I think, not at all in the public interest. So that's my comment. Thank you.
And may I add also, if you guys saw the release last week, President Biden opposed the sale of U.S. Steel, which is the steel mill that's idle, to Nippon. And if you looked at the tail end of it, the incoming administration said that they would support objecting to the sale. So I'm like, what? So we don't know if it's going to be a reverse, decision once the administration is sworn in. But the incoming administration has pledged to support the blocking of the sale of U.S. Steel to Nippon.
Well, everybody hang on. It's going to be an interesting couple years here. So keep us posted on that over there. Thanks, Teresa.
Bill.
Bill is here. I'm from Cadillac, as everybody knows. I keep you up to date with things that are going on. MPART has been fantastic and aggressive to look into the things that have happened up here that these initial source was thought to be and may still be, but they put out 70 letters to people, probably half initially wanted to be tested. Others have come forward. There was a realization that we have PFAS all over the place and for unknown reasons, so we need more testing. But MPART has done a nice job of stepping up and looking into this, giving it 100% effort. I'm very pleased with that. Our local mayor, who's I thought was unfair to Eagle and MPART, they're taking a ton of criticism for not being as open and transparent about the fact PFAS was even in our industrial park, although it was below Michigan levels. Under the federal levels, probably 40% are coming back out of, I'll just say 60 tests, maybe it was 53 or so. But 40% were above federal and have the nasty chemicals in there, PFOS and PFOA. Much lower number, probably in between 75 and 88% of the tests come back with some PFAS detected in the test. And there's not a ton of tests that have happened, but there certainly is. It's on the upswing. People are responding. There's a whole another group of tests coming in. I'm including the tests that were done over by the CTC building that also it's basically 40% or so that are above federal numbers, which we don't have in play yet, but everybody up here is watching those because most of them and most of the chemicals that are involved here would be it'd be a red dot if it were the federal. I mean, the ones that are up here are the ones that it would be more favorable to look at if someone wanted a cleanup. They're not the other chemicals that the feds, for whatever reason, have pretty high numbers. In any event, everyone's taking a lot of time on this. Abby spent some time with the citizens group I'm trying to help as well on my end. They have a lot of energy, and I'm just trying to make that positive, but I'm not technically running the group, or I'm just on the Facebook page, and they do ask me a lot of questions. And I just want to compliment MPART for having an aggressive role to look into this and helping the EPA out. But there was some surprises when the test came out because no one expected anything to go in the direction it did. And it went south and west. And if it's not from the properties from the LDFA, it's from other sources. All I know is we need more testing. I'm going to be encouraging the city to test wells. There's 127 wells, and I think probably 30 or so have been tested that are in the city. The other ones are in the townships, but in any event, the numbers are coming up in a position where more testing should occur, and that a solution to getting water to these people. There's a lot of anecdotal data coming of cancer and dogs dying, and just maybe that's the way it is. We have a high incidence anyway in this world now. Kids, younger people with cancer, at least two testicular, one right on his arm on Marathon Street. So I was mayor for 6 years. I never knew a whole side of our town was on wells. And it was a total shock. A gentleman that was on there 16 years, same thing. So we've had an eye-opening experience, our community has, and there's some anxiety going on, and MPART's doing what they can to keep that tamped down and reasonable and/or answering questions. The city has been finally better. The mayor took some shots at Eagle, like, what is Eagle doing? And it was not appropriate. So I just figured out the mayor's not getting good communication from our city people. There's a disconnect. I know Abby's offered to sit down and talk to the council members and/or the mayor at least so she has a clue of what is going on and the efforts that are being taken, because that wouldn't be the group to yell at this point. Not that any group is, but things were lax up here for a number of years, and they're not going to be anymore. The EPA's on this. MPART's helping, and I just want to thank them for that. And with that said, I'm just Joe Public. I, for some reason, figured this thing out in the first place, and that's caused me some anxiety because of the ramifications and the people's stories that I'm hearing now that need water and need it fast. And some of them are in an island, they're in a township. And I think the state should intervene actually, because our city and Herring Township are like enemies for 50 years. This goes back 5 decades and it's unsolvable. I just think the state should take over Mary Street and find a solution for them and order the city and township to cooperate. And that's my main concern is there's some folks that aren't in the city that have some high numbers. I know people that have died that lived in a house that has a red dot on Mary Street, unexplainably became bloated. And I know of other people in town, and then their wife would die of cancer. I just happen to know the town. I think a health study should happen, but right now it's getting clean water to people, finding an immediate solution that people can live with to get through a period of planning. And we're going to need state money. So and or federal is the big key here. And this committee could be helpful in sitting down with the legislators that have the purse strings of the state. And I would hope that the governor and our director would be on board to spend that money once we figure out what the plan is, and that this gets a high priority as other
Okay.
spots in our state have. But thank you for your patience and letting me ramble on, and I'll try not to say another word for the entire meeting.
Don't you dare do that, Bill. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're doing all this. Lynn, you had your hand up?
Hold on, here we go. I just wanted to say that this is a great example of when once an issue has been found, where MPART has come along and really helped educate and spur things on. But the thing is, what troubles me, and goes back to public notification and education, is it was because, Bill, you stuck your neck out on behalf of someone you knew. And had that not happened, right, or had not, like in Cortland Township, had not some developer decided to put down a hole for development, a test well, and find the PFAS, it wouldn't have been found. And of course, we all know that there's no easy answer, but it underscores the fact that, but I don't know how many, it's 5-6 years now, and public notification, or at least education, is as important now as ever. So I want to thank you for what you did, but also this wouldn't have happened without your stepping forward like that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Good point, Lynn. And
That
Bill,
is
I would-
100% true.
I'm sorry. I would also say, Bill, I don't know if you're getting good turnout for people agreeing to get their wells tested, or Abby, if you know that, but I know that's always been the problem, that Eagle tries to go in and encourage people to get their wells tested and they don't have a really good response. So I think at this stage, the biggest thing to do is really encourage people, if they have access, if Eagle wants to test their well, it's going to help all their neighbors if they test their well. It just helps Eagle figure out what's going on here. So.
Yeah. And it's one of those situations, Sandy, where it's you've got a mix of water lines out in front. People didn't elect to hook up, and so it's really tough to tell who's on city water, who's not. So we've blanketed the area with letters encouraging people to sample, and then, so the numbers look low, but a lot of those people did seem to have municipal water. So
Okay, good. All right, is that everything? Is that all the roll call there, Kelly? I'm gonna say yes. All right, so we've got a lot of subcommittee discussion going on in here because we had 2 different things going on. So the first thing, the subcommittee updates. I was looking at the usual thing that we do, where the subcommittees that are in place and have met, if they could get a little update. And then later on, we're going to talk about more from subcommittees. But is there any updates from subcommittees that we have in place right now that are working? Like,
I'm confused. Do you want our
subcommittee reports, or did you
Yes.
want to just say?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
the word I'm looking for.
All right, this is Brad Venman. We did for the website review subcommittee. We met today at 4:30 for an extended period. We're going to probably meet for the next, going forward probably for an hour, because there's some other things that we're going to be talking about, or some more detailed things that we're going to be talking about. Today we were looking at some new additions to the GIS information map. A couple of new layers that are now included. One is to include there is a layer that includes the areas of interest, which is brand new. So that's something that you might want to take a look at, where those are, in generally where they're located. And then also that there's a new layer for the POTW facilities that have a groundwater discharge permit. So those have not been included in the past, as I understand it. So, but there's going to be some additional discussions as far as how we include new information and hopefully streamline how to find some of that. So.
Impressive. Very good. All right. Any questions for the website review subcommittee? And is there anyone here on the preventative measures subcommittee? Is that committee even meeting still? Anyone? No?
This is Mary. I had been part of that meeting, and I don't believe that it has been, a meeting has been called in quite a while.
Okay.
Dave was leading that, but he hasn't contacted anybody. And at the time, one of the concerns that we had was whether some of the things that we were talking about were able to fall within the COG charter. And so group, very small group. And I think that's part of it. And I think Dave has been involved with the ASCODA group and he's possibly dropped off that group now. So I'm not sure where we're going to end up with that.
Okay. I'm going to put that on our list of follow-up then. All right.
Yep. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to skip to membership committee. Have we done anything with membership committee?
We have not.
Okay. And then engaging the public subcommittee.
Yeah, hi Sandy, this is Lynn again.
Yeah.
Portia asked me if I would put up, well, yeah, I asked Kelly, thank you Kelly for just putting up the discussion portion of our meeting. I think it's helpful for you to see a little bit about the things I want to talk about. John took some of these notes and I wanted to highlight point number 2, that as a committee, there is still a significant concern that members in designated PFAS areas are at risk and not aware of the health risk, which then motivates the committee to kind of, it sounds corny, but the way I see it is to be worker bees, to really work hard at it as a group. And everyone seems committed to do that and try to grasp what has happened in terms of the process plan for notification that Kelly, you contributed to everyone over email. And then also we are in the process of FOIing from DHHS how they go about informing a document that shows how they inform the public so we can understand that process. But what we want to do is recognize the fact that a lot of years have gone by and we still really don't have anything concrete in place. And yet dig in and work hard and well together. And point number 7 there, I think John said this so well, what we've all talked about, but working towards a multi-tier structure that could be enabled to direct the level of notifications, sampling notices, test result notice, education, whatever. That is data driven and organized by severity or impact to local citizens. And I would point out that this is where things sometimes get stalled. There needs to be a way to resolve giving clear, simple data without creating a panic. And I, as a member of the committee, we still would like to meet more. I would rather err in the side of direction, on the side of letting people know outside just that first testing area. If it was, let's say, tier 2 or 3, give them a heads up. And how we do this, we need to, like I said, hunker down and work hard. There's got to be a way to do it. So all people are welcome to join this committee. I think I would point out to everyone that this was the #1 priority. And I think, according to the most recent survey, is still the #1 priority. I'm
Right.
thankful for our last meeting. Yeah, I know I'm going on, but.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm just trying to keep.
I
Yeah.
know. I just want to. I won't be here again for the second half of the meeting. Good news for my talk time, but I guess I think for us to get as citizens, to keep our focus and to work hard and stay hopeful, and I'm stopping now because don't need to go on. I would say this, I think it'd be really easy for us, considering the political situation and also just how hard it is to make progress, to be discouraged. So how do we not? And how do we move forward? So that's it.
That's a good point. Len, I have one question. John did a great job at taking minutes. Do we have some place that we store minutes for subcommittee meetings anywhere? Or maybe
No.
that's a Kelly question
Well,
that people could go to and look at? I don't know. If
a
we're
great
writing them
idea.
down, they shouldn't just like disappear or become Christmas cards. So
No, that's why Kelly put it into a Word document, at least for us, which
Right.
is great. And we have it now. We hope to do that at every meeting. I think it would be great to continue.
Kelly or Abby, do you have any ideas on that? A way we could store them somewhere? Or do we just need to develop our own?
I can look into potential options. Obviously one option is always website on the COG page. If we don't want to do that and we want them to be more of internal working document amongst the subcommittee, then I can look into a way we can all share a folder, whatever.
Okay. Let's just let's just consider that as something to do. Rick, you had your hand up. Did you have an idea for that?
Well, I just wanted to ask maybe Kelly, she has more experience with Teams, but is there a way to, if you record the meeting in Teams, to have the minutes prepared by AI? Like Zoom has that function and it works pretty good. I was curious if Teams had a similar function.
It transcribes, but it's really not overly accurate.
Okay. Well, that could be a thought for the group. Maybe if we want to have a meeting, we might want to do it on Zoom or something. I don't know, but
I agree.
Zoom, all of our CAG meetings, the last couple of them were done with the AI function, and I thought they turned out pretty good. So just a thought.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Portia, and then I see Lynn, who is a guest. Is that Lynn McIntosh, who is a guest?
Yeah, that's me again.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Portia, and then I'll go to you, Lynn. Will that work?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, Portia?
I have a free account with read.ai note taker, and when I'm in Teams, it does create notes out of the meeting minutes and then send them to me and I can forward them out. But if you are in another subcommittee, or if it's on an evening that I have a conflict like I did last week, then it wouldn't work, obviously. So whoever's in the meeting that will be responsible for the notes needs to get a free read.ai account. And you can upgrade to get multiple other features. I've never needed to do that. And it is incredibly useful.
Okay, good to know.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Lynn?
Yep, I still think the simplest, easiest thing to do is have an engaged committee member, like John did, write them up. It doesn't take long, and it's not AI, it's a real person engaged with the material. And I think every subcommittee should be responsible at least to keep track of them in some way. It's great to update the whole world. I get that. But just to have it done this way is very helpful. So I don't know. I think AI can be helpful, but I don't think it has to be complicated. That's my
Okay.
opinion. I know I'm on the out on that, but that's
No,
my
that's
opinion.
okay. It sounds like what we want though is we want minutes somehow, some way. And
Well,
then
yeah.
we need to figure out a way that we could store them so other people could access them if they had questions or wanted to
Yeah, but
look at
they
it.
can always contact the chairman or a committee member too. I plan to keep them in a file. And,
Okay.
You know, it's most important to get work done. And yes, it's great to communicate with as many people as possible, but the energy needs to go to the actual work. That's me on my little soapbox here.
All right. Well, don't fall down. Get off the soapbox.
Okay.
All right. John, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Lynn's comments. I mean, I think we make them, concise, actionable, and tracking and do it live. I mean, that worked out really well. It didn't take me much. Didn't take me hardly any time, and I'm willing to do it again if there's interest in that. So.
All right.
With that.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's it on subcommittees. Mary, did you want to lead the next discussion or do you want me to?
I don't care. It's up to you.
We're very
Do you want me
organized,
to?
you can tell. Yeah, I don't care. We can.
It was over a year ago that we talked about, or I'm sorry, it was last year that we talked about the fact that it might be coming up for elections. It has been over 2 years since we had elections for the leadership team. And we were wondering if people want to volunteer or nominate someone to be on the leadership team. And then wondering about possibly doing the elections next month. So if leadership team member, that would be great.
I think the idea was that it's important to always throw that out there, and this isn't a dictatorship, so we should have ongoing times that we can change leadership if people choose to or not. It's, I think it's up for the group to decide. I think it's also a good time for everybody to decide, do they want to re-up and continue to be a part of the COG and kind of make that commitment for the next year as well. So what I would suggest, if you want to throw your name in to be in leadership, please do. I guess, what's the best way to do that, Mary? Send an email out to everybody?
I could do that. And then
Okay.
they could respond to me, and I can share it with Daniel and Joe as part of membership.
Yeah, and
then
I
go
think
from
if you
there.
want to recommend people, I would check with them first to make sure they have the time to do it. So we're not nominating a lot of people that go, I don't want any part of that. But I just think that's a good thing to do every year or two to keep it fresh. So any questions on that?
I think
ahead,
at the
Mary.
time that we were setting up the COG under our own leadership, I think we did set a 2-year guideline for leadership as a role. So
yeah. All
So I
right.
will send out an email to everybody, and I will include the fact of whether you want to continue on the COG, and also if you would be willing to be a leadership person or nominate someone. And as Lynn was saying, you know, I think it's also important not just to be a member, but to be an active member. So thank you very much.
All right. Any questions or comments or thoughts? All right, so I wanted to have more discussion about subcommittees, in part because I know I got very confused about the two goals that we set at the last meeting, which I think was in November. And we talked about the public notification issue, which we called engaging the public. And then we wanted another subcommittee. Another goal was helping and assisting and educating communities, which I don't think we named. And I don't think we got a lot of people signed up for that. So I guess what I wanted to look at is, can we name them so I stop getting confused? Because that happens to me a lot. But also, can we look at the subcommittees and say, do we still need these? Are there some we need to beef up? Are there some we need to get rid of? And once we decide our subcommittees, can we name them logically? And then can people look at, can they sign up for subcommittees so that, as Mary said, and as Lynn said, and as everybody said, everybody's actively engaged. So anybody know what we were going to call the other committee that's engaging the public, but not called engaging the public? Does everybody remember this? I know we had turkey and Christmas between those. Lynn, go ahead. Lynn, you're on mute.
I was doing so well there.
You
Okay.
were. I was so impressed.
It makes, oh, thanks. Gosh, I don't understand why the Public Notification Committee isn't simply called that. The name engaging the public doesn't mean anything. I mean, I'm sorry, it just doesn't click as to what we're doing. The committee has one purpose, and that is public notification, timely public notification to PFAS affected communities, you know.
So we could change that name to Public Notification Committee. Is that okay with everybody?
Makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me too. And then I see some thumbs up. Then the other committee that was working on the goals to educate and assist communities. Kelly, maybe you can help me with this. We only had 2 people sign up for that one. And I'm wondering if people were confused, because I signed up and attended the wrong subcommittee meeting. So.
Yes, so 17 members of 28 COG members did the survey. Of the 17, only 11 members signed up. So there were some members that signed up for multiple subcommittees. You and Mary are the only ones that signed up for this subcommittee.
Okay. So can we have a talk about what's going on with subcommittees, and I just want to open it up to hear people. Where's the challenge in this? Is it a time issue? Is it a not interest issue? Help me out here. We kind of set the goals, so to achieve those goals, we need people to work on it. Daniel.
Yeah, just excuse me, just speaking for myself. It's been an odd few months for us because we have a new baby here. Evening meetings were tough ahead of new baby. With 2 small children, it is increasingly difficult, especially since I'm now tasked with getting the toddler to bed right around 7:30. So it's, it falls right in the middle of that dilemma. But putting that aside, and hopefully that's transient. Hopefully these kids will grow up. the idea of assisting communities appeals to me, and I don't know. I honestly don't remember if I responded to the survey. I have a feeling it might have been right in the middle of babydom. But the idea of educating, communicating to communities, that's something we're doing anyway. So I'm happy to be on that one. I don't know. So I think a lot of these. I think a bigger challenge that we're facing overall is that the needs around PFAS keep shifting around us. So a lot of the issues that we were trying to address even 2 or 3 years ago, I'm not sure if that bullseye is still exactly in the same place for us. And I know for myself and for our organization, a lot of the conversation has shifted around, what needs to happen more holistically at the federal level around preventing PFAS from entering the system. So we're talking more about PFAS bans. We're talking about the federal regs and promulgation to the state and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure where that fits in these committees. It almost feels like we need a committee that's, sort of thinking about how do we inform issues more broadly, like sort of what's the overall strategy that we as citizens would like to see. I think public notification and changes to that is sort of one big dimension that we've been working on a long time, but and I think the preventative measures is probably another big component of that. But I'm not sure what you'd call that. I'm not sure where that fits into these different groups, but some sort of like overall strategy committee maybe, or something might be worth it.
Okay. And they do grow up eventually, but that doesn't mean that they take less time, Daniel, just by the way.
Yeah,
Spoken
I've
as
been
a
told.
childless cat lady, I really don't know, but that's what I've observed from my friends, so I'll just tell you that part. Lynn, do you have any comments on that, or is your hand just raised because it's raised? And you're on mute.
My hand, no, I'm not muted.
Okay.
I just got it. It is purposefully raised only because I am wondering with that committee, the unnamed one, I wondered if the thrust of that was a more broad-based education or not about PFAS. I'm not sure it was, but I'm intrigued by what Dan just said too, like taking a look at, there's not many of us, so we don't want to be repetitive or reiterative, I guess. So I don't know. Was that part of it? Was it education? Because that's different than.
Well,
I mean,
education was
part
the
of
second
notification.
goal.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so as you were saying that, Daniel, I could see where education in a broader sense, both to COG members as well as the community at large, could also be a part of it. I mean, you probably saw the New York Times article that came out today about the EPA's thing on biosolids and as a health hazard with PFAS and stuff. That's the kind of education and bigger issue I'm thinking.
Yeah. So just jump if I can jump back in here real quick before I forget the thought. So that idea of like education that's focused on, it is both focused but focused on a broader issue. So PFAS in cattle. What sort of education materials do we need on PFAS in cattle or PFAS in agriculture? And would a committee that is reviewing and coming up with ideas for education materials be helpful to Eagle folks and other agency folks? I guess that's what I'd be curious to hear. That's something I'd be super interested in helping out with.
So I guess I'll just throw that question out there to all the Eagle and MDHHS and state folks on here. What are you thinking? It's a team effort.
Yeah, if we would be interested in advice, yes, definitely. As far as handouts, how to better engage, how to better educate, I think I would say yes. And I think that's, even with the web review subcommittee, we've been trying to take some of that stuff. We think we've got a good idea and take it over there to have it vetted by your group to try to better understand. So yeah, I think there's just so much ground to cover. When it comes to education, what are the critical pieces that we want to be able to get out, and how do we, how do we best engage? Because everybody has a different level of needs, wants, and technical capabilities when it comes to receiving information. So not just the information, but whether or not you're doing it via email or, some sort of social media, or if they want snail mail, or they want somebody coming to their, to their school, to their work, whatever. So we stop there and let any of my DHHS friends jump into. Go ahead, Jocelyn.
Yeah, so for DHHS side of things, we would ask that the public not create education materials for us, but we are happy to collaborate on, feedback of what y'all think is important, and feedback of things that we have created kind of at various stages as they go through review process. So, but we would ask that folks, don't create that themselves.
Yeah, I don't think I would see us creating documents for you guys, but I think providing some education, even back here to the COG, at new things that are coming out or new research for COG members to have, and then talking about it that way. Daniel, what did you put something in the chat here? Yeah, community education subcommittee. I think that would be a good idea to do.
Yeah, or even it could sort of function almost just kind of like a semi-permanent focus group. It's kind of, I guess, kind of what I have in mind.
Yeah.
We're coming up with ideas. Obviously, we're not generating the official materials, but we can be a sounding board. Yep.
And I hate to go back to your naming convention, and maybe Kelly can go back, because how is community education different than engaging? I guess, well, maybe I thought they were the same, but maybe they are separate.
We're going to get rid of the engaging the public name.
Yeah, that's the problem. They
Okay.
sound exactly the same, but engaging the public is actually public notification. It doesn't have anything to do with engaging them. It has to do with notifying them about what they need to know that they're not currently being notified about. And I made that exact same mistake about this committee. So
I did
you're
too.
in good company. Yep.
Yeah.
So there we
it's
have
very
it.
confusing. It was
Yes.
Not anymore.
It was like the artist formerly known as Prince is what we did there for a minute. And now we're going to rename everything so it makes sense to all of us. But there for a bit, we were all a little puzzled and confused. So that's my goal with this part of the meeting, is to give us titles that make sense to people. So my question is, do we want a separate subcommittee for education and focus group like Daniel's talking about, and then one for providing support and assistance? Because the other thing that was big on that survey was support and assistance to communities that are either newly found and struggling, or feel like they're not getting their message through, or any of that. Is there a need for that kind of subcommittee as well? Because that was on the survey, and I don't want to ignore the survey. I like data. Mary, yes.
My biggest concern with talk people, we Kelly just said there were 11 members who signed up to be on a subcommittee. The more subcommittees that we create, the less people would be attending each one, it seems. So I think we have to be careful about how many and who's going to actually populate these, because there's no point in having subcommittees if there's not people to participate.
Yeah, we need to figure out a way that everybody responds to surveys.
And I think with public notification, when they just met, they did the poll. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Portia. And then even though we picked the date and that, it turned out that I believe 3 of us ended up not being able to make it on that particular night, unfortunately. So I don't know for everybody else, the 6 o'clock on a Thursday night, how how that worked out for everybody. Normally, Thursday nights is fine with me, but I was not able to make that meeting. So I think
wonder,
that's just
Kelly-
something to consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't want too many subcommittees if we don't have enough people here. Whoa, we're seeing everything here. I wonder if you could resend the survey, and if people, we have 30 people on the call. I'm guessing a chunk of those are employees of the state, but if we could really encourage people to fill that out. I get frustrated when we have 28 members and only 11 respond, or only 17. You know what I mean? Like, just at least fill out the survey. That's all I would ask, so that we can do the work that we need to do. Because you're right, Mary, we can't have too many subcommittees. So,
And Sandy, to a large extent, I think, like, if you go back and you look at the roll call, the majority of the people who had been in regular attendance of the meetings did respond to the survey. So I don't know how you're going to be able to get the other people who haven't really been attending to respond.
okay. All right. All right, I'll think on that. All right, so I'll send out something with the new names for subcommittees as well, Kelly, and maybe we can ask again for people to sign up for the new and improved named subcommittees, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yep, I got public notification and the community education subcommittee.
There we go. Thank you. And then keep web review committee, keep membership committee. Should we keep the preventative measures subcommittee? Anybody got thoughts on that?
If Tony's still on, does Tony know if Dave Wynn is gonna still participate as a member? Because I know he dropped off the Now group and the RAB.
Oh.
Does
so
Tony,
just-
if you're still on, do you know?
Yeah, Abby, just to be clear, he did not drop out of the Now group. No, he's off the RAB. He's still on the Now group. I don't know about this.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know about this group.
Maybe I'll reach out to him then.
Okay. Yeah, we
Okay,
haven't,
very good.
I think it's been a few months since we've seen him, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, we beat that horse to death now. Abby, you want to go on to MPART updates?
Yes, I would love to. All right, so for your viewing pleasure, as you might know, we do have the FY 2024 Fast Facts that are out on our MPART website. So if you like geeking out on the facts of all the things that we managed to accomplish in 2024, it is there in a fast 9 pages now. Somehow this was supposed to be fast, and we've gotten so much things done in 2024 that it became a little less than fast in that respect. But it is on the MPART web page, or front web page, so I'd encourage you to take a look at that. There's a lot of great information there. The Cadillac industrial area has consumed lots of time, not just from MPART staff, but we've got, I mean, I think our internal calls just to discuss the status of things is like 30 people deep. So including EPA, DHHS, local health, all of our partners. So it's been something else. But we've managed to do 3 rounds of Reswell sampling. We're just getting some of the last bit of, we're still getting the data in the door. So we got this last round of data that we still got to put everything together. But we are in the final stages of finishing up an FAQ that I, fingers crossed, will get out the door, I'm hoping tomorrow. But we're in the process of planning an open house. And so again, that's something that I'm hoping we're going to set a date and get that arranged here for the 1st or 2nd week in February. Hoping to do, instead of a typical town hall, hoping to do an open house format where we have all of, Eagle and local health and EPA and DHHS there to be able to answer one-on-one questions. Because, we're getting such a wide variety of questions that the FAQ that we're putting together is rather long, but it's pretty comprehensive on the wide variety of kinds of questions we're getting. So a lot of work going into that particular one. And I think one of our new residents is on this call so we'll be talking with a different Mary more about that later on this week. So, all right. Some additional things for your viewing pleasure again on the MPART website on our GIS layer. As Brad said earlier, we did just include 2 new layers. There's a new layer, so we not only have the PFAS sites, which are the purple triangles, but we now have the areas of interest, and we made them kind of those fuzzy dots. Because areas of interest, we don't know the actual source, but we do have exceedances of groundwater contamination or groundwater criteria, and we don't know the exact boundaries. So we put this fuzzy dot on there to kind of help you visualize the fact that the boundaries aren't as potentially as known as some of our other investigations. So those are there. So hopefully that helps everybody. And just like all the other dots, they're clickable. You can go to the MPART, to the exact web page for that write-up so you can see what's there. The other layer that's here for you guys to take a look at is this what we're calling our publicly owned treatment works with PFAS data. I don't know if we've got anybody on from that group. Let me just look real quick. I don't think Anne or nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. Yeah, they all jumped. So these are all of the wastewater treatment plants that have sampled. Well, let me back that up. These are all the wastewater treatment plants that have sampled for PFAS. Some of the results might be non-detect, but they did sample for PFAS. This does not include all the wastewater treatment plants, though. So just know these are the ones that we have data for so far. There's 2 different types here that you'll see signified by the 2 different, I guess those are diamonds. So there's the green ones and then the lighter greenish, I guess, as well. One have discharged by NPDES permits. So they have an outfall that they use for discharge. And then the other ones have a groundwater discharge permit for their wastewater treatment plant. They will have like a lagoon system there. And that's also done through a groundwater discharge permit. So there's 2 different types of those. When you click on those dots, you'll see it'll take you to a web page for each location that will give you, or it'll give you a drop-down box for to get the file information out of my Enviro. Whoops, Mary, I think that may be, well, I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah.
If you can mute yourself anyways. So the data is in the my Enviro application, but when you click on the dot and you click on the My Enviro link, it'll take you right to that web page, so you don't have to go in and do all those front end query stuff. It'll actually take you to the location of the data. You'll have to scroll through the data, but it'll take you to the files that contain that information. So if you've got questions, feel free to reach out to staff on that, or reach out if you can't figure out who you're supposed to talk to us. We'll put you in touch with the right people, but I think you're going to really like that information. This data doesn't automatically populate when you open up the application, so you'll have to click the button and then it'll load, but it's all there. So, and we could even arrange for staff to come next month or the month after to do a little tutorial on that if you think you guys would like that.
I think that would be great.
Okay. Couple or more of new MPART sites and areas of interest. So Billerud, areas of interest is up in Escanaba. That's in Delta County. That's a paper manufacturer up there in Escanaba. Expected to find really high concentrations and surprisingly found very low concentrations. So that's good news there. They do still exceed groundwater criteria, but not like we were expecting. North 30th Street is something that is around a greenhouse. We're trying to figure out what's going on out there. Again, not super high levels, but still not sure what we got.
Are you planning on doing a public meeting for that one? I only ask because my family lives there. So
we're going to do the sampling first, and then we'll take a look at what the data is showing us, because we're not sure if we're going to find anything else anywhere else, or if it'll just be this one location. There's some, yeah, that one's going to be interesting. Kalamazoo Regional Fire Training. This is a fire training center. We know that we suspect that they did use AFFF over the years, but the Kalamazoo River is pretty close. So we're, again, groundwater flow direction makes a huge difference. So we'll keep an eye on that one. 131 in Mackinac Trail, that's up there on the south side of Cadillac, not in the area of interest that we were sampling, but south of town. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And then Decorative Panels is had some AFFF releases over there in Alpena. That's right on the water of Lake Huron. And then tomorrow will be the Nankin Township landfill will be going live. That's in Westland and Wayne County. That was one where we have seen that it looks like 3M did do some disposing of materials into that landfill. So we did put in some monitoring wells, and we did get some PFAS detections in that one. So that will be going live tomorrow. So we've been slightly busy.
Holy smokes, how many sites does that give you now?
Nankin Township will be 300. That'll be 300 MPART sites, which does not include the 35 areas of interest. So
for some reason I feel like we should have balloons popping or something, you know?
Yes, yeah, it's an unfortunate type of announcement. So Kelly, do I have any other slides after this one? Okay, because I did have one more thing I wanted to bring up to everybody. So today, you guys probably saw it, but just in case you didn't, EPA did put out their biosolids risk assessment. And so it's just a short 250 pages long. Obviously, it just released, yet this morning, so we haven't had a chance to look at it. That will require a lot of in-depth review to really understand it and see what's going on, what their assumptions are, but we will be taking a close look at that to evaluate it and see what it means. So we won't be, I'm sure you guys will have questions about it, and I'm sure the papers will be talking about it more. Obviously, the New York Times has been following this pretty hot and heavy for a while now. So, but we'll be keeping an eye on that and have to start diving into that report to see what their recommendations are. I think those were all of my updates, unless anybody else has got questions or can think of anything.
Any questions on those updates or anything?
Yeah, I have a quick question, Abby. How come on this last map of Michigan on the PFAS sites, there was none in Oscoda County?
Oh, for the one that Kelly just had up?
Yeah. Look at that. Look at Oscoda County. There's nothing there. And we know we've got
I
Wordsmith
believe,
and
I believe you're thinking wrong. Oscoda is located in Iosco County. There are plenty of triangles there.
Yeah, yeah. Oscoda, Michigan is not in Oscoda County.
okay.
Yeah, it's like Prince, it's like the artist formerly known as Prince. This is why we don't name things right. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
It's a state thing. We don't name things right.
I don't have
know
any
why.
juice.
Yeah. Okay,
We don't
Kelly, your
drink juice.
computer's going crazy here.
All right, somebody needs to mute themselves. All right. I think that's it for me then.
Any other
All right.
questions then for Abby on new stuff? All right, so in November, we talked about would there be benefit for the COG to get together for an in-person meeting? And I wanted to make sure we did not lose sight of that and throw that out. Is this something that we want to plan? I think after today's weather, we probably all have decided we would like to wait till more towards spring or summer to do this. But I'm just opening this up because I think it would be best if we're going to do it, that we give ourselves enough time to figure out a place and a date so everybody can make arrangements to be there. So I'm opening this up for discussion. Abby, were you saying something or?
Oh, just looking, yeah, no, it's fine. I was just looking at May's calendar to see if May would be a good time to do that. You know, before the summer schedule, but
Yes.
after the weather kind of breaks.
So what do people think? Are people interested in that?
Sandy will bake cookies.
I will bake cookies. Yes, go ahead. Lois, and then, yes.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if you might want to combine an in-person with a tour of a site. Now, I may be reaching here. We'd have to rent a bus and maybe have it during a daytime when whatever the project manager might be available. Oh, excuse me, it might be available. But are you interested in digging into what it takes to investigate a site, not just listening to Abby run through the steps, but, you know, really get your hands on it so that you understand what the staff are facing when these new sites are popping up?
That's one thought. I think a lot of us have been here as we've been going through the site. I mean, you know, like I know here in Rockford, I went through that. So, but that's one idea. I know Great Lakes PFAS Action Network has done bus tours of different sites at different times. So one thought then is
And there
to
would
do,
be like a cost for that. You know, we'd each have to chip in for the bus and
right,
pay for your own lunch or wherever. But
right,
and I don't know how much of that you've already done, but you know,
right.
just some of the things that I hear you talking about, I don't expect you to know the nitty gritty and all the details that it takes to do this sort of thing that you get to hear Abby summarize. Sorry, my dog is yipping at me because she wants me to pay attention to her. But I just thought for those that aren't are even new or haven't been, you know, part of the since the beginning, like you, Sandy, you might be interested in just, you know, touching base and getting your hands, not physically getting your hands, but getting your eyes and your bodies out just to kind of get a lay of the land and just have a conversation with the staff.
Sure. Okay.
And we can make it not, you know, we can make it an optional tour so that if people are working in the day, they can still come to the other meeting or however we want to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Who else has got your hands up? I can't get my thing to work here.
It says Shin Kang, but
that-
I'm the thing that's Joe?
Is that Joe?
Gotta unmute yourself though. If you're talking, we can't hear you. There we
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Nice to hear you.
So I don't know when, but early on when we were suggesting this in-person meeting, I like the idea that in all the human, interactions, in-person meeting gives us extra level of, opening and faith and trust and all those kind of good things. So that I was hoping we could do. And another reason was we have all different backgrounds. So by doing something like a touring a site, as just suggested, I think we'll come up with probably different approaches to what we're doing and how we're doing it. So as a kind of a developing experience for all of us, only thing I was hesitating early on was, well, it's gonna, cost some money if we were to do something like this, and I didn't know whether we have any kind of we pay out of our pockets, or can we support something like this from the program in any way? So I like it. So no matter how we do it, I support it. Thank you.
All right. Mary?
I also support it, and I have been on 2 different tours, one in Rockford, Belmont, Cascade area, I believe. And the other one was one led by Teresa Landrum and Samra, and they were excellent, particularly the one in Detroit, when you got a full effect of the industrial contamination that's going on there, where Teresa had us get out and actually sit on bleachers of a community center. And within a few minutes, we got back on the bus and people were complaining about having a headache just from that few minutes. So I appreciate Lois bringing up that idea, and I support also doing an in-person meeting. Thank you.
Excellent. That was quite a thing, Teresa. If you're still on the call, that was the most eye-opening tour I'd ever been on of your site there. Anybody else have thoughts on an in-person meeting or the tour? If I could just throw out, I know GeoPan has supported the tours in the past, and I know they cost a pretty good, they're not cheap to do. So that would be my only hesitancy with a tour, but I love the idea of us getting together in person, because I really do think that that just gives us some time to connect. And maybe we can work something out. I'm throwing this out here, Tony. Maybe we can look at and see if Great Lakes PFAS Action Network could kind of piggyback on this and maybe sponsor a tour of a site that, like somebody said, we could do it in an afternoon and then get together in an evening, because I know a lot of people also work. So maybe that's something we could look at as a way to combine both. I don't know. Are people good with May being a date we tentatively pick out? I mean, May, who doesn't like May, right?
Could we do it fairly early before people get in the vacation thinking mode?
Yeah.
What
do you think, Abby?
Well, our first meeting would be, the second week in May. So I would say we'd, shoot for
Do it
that
then.
same day. But if we want to do it, and you want to make it during the day or make it like the second half of the day, we need to, plan now so that we can actually schedule it for everybody's calendars and then figure out what we want to do and what site, where we want to meet, what sites are available.
Okay. So let's say we're going to do an in-person meeting in May. We will start planning on this and figure out what we're going to do from there. How does that sound? But everybody kind of pencil it in your calendars for that. May meeting date will be in person. I'm guessing somewhere in the middle of the state. That makes the most sense for us to try and all get to. So, all right. Unless the Tigers are playing, then we could all head to Detroit, take Teresa's tour and catch a Tiger game. That's another option, just saying. So, okay. All right, everybody still hanging in there?
Sandy,
You
I
got
think you
one
still
hand
have a
up.
name. Yep.
You got,
I'm sorry, what?
you
There's
got a
still
hand up here.
hand up.
Oh, whose hands up? Mary, I'm sorry.
Hi, I am new here. My name is Mary Galvanic, and I am from Cadillac, Michigan. I run the Cadillac Farmers Market, the Reed City Farmers Market, and a farm here in Cadillac. And the community has had a hard time um, gaining like an education surrounding all of this. And I know that we had one town hall, and unfortunately, the community didn't show up for it, which I'm really hoping to make a difference for this next one and get everybody out there. Um, I am interested in your subcommittees on education and notification. I am also interested in an in-person meeting and a tour. I moved here. I was born and raised here, and I moved back home, and it's become very apparent to me that this community needs an education surrounding health. That was apparent to me before the PFAS contamination became a big thing here in our area. And was why I started a farm, why I started a farmer's market. And so the trouble that we're facing with PFAS is just another layer of that, where the Cadillac Farmers Market is open to being a place of education for any organization that is listening here. Any committee, any subcommittee, any one of you, Eagle Health Department, all of us. And so we are very interested in educating the landowners, just the community members and the farmers here in this area on how to make the best choices. And that's really why I'm here today with you guys. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, welcome, Mary. We're always looking for new members, so reach out to Kelly and she can tell you how you can become a member here of the COG, and we can work more with you. So and feel free, I'll drop my email in the chat if you want to talk more about other stuff. That would be great. All right. Thank you for coming.
Yes, and Abigail, thank you to you and the entire Eagle team that is fielding a lot of response from Cadillac. I'm going to thank you every time I see you. We know we're a handful, and this spans back generations, and it's kind of on your desk now, and we just appreciate you putting up with us.
No problem, Mary. Thank you. Thanks for all the passion and engagement for Cadillac's sake. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, the last thing we talked about at the last meeting was our survey on what we wanted to accomplish, and people were frustrated, feeling like we hadn't really done much or had much follow-up or accomplished things. So I think it's really important that we talk about what those goals are. But given that I guess what I'm thinking is what I need is people to sign up for subcommittees so that those subcommittees sit down and figure out what those goals are. And I'm wondering if anybody here has good formats or systems that they've used for goal setting and measuring achievements in work. We all do different kinds of work. And we all have different ways that we do that and measure it. But if somebody's got a good system, it would be really nice to have a consistent system that we use to figure out if we're meeting those goals. Because I think that would help us not feel so frustrated that we're not accomplishing things if we knew if we were meeting those goals. Anybody got those kind of systems out there that they can share or would be willing to share? Mary? Guest Mary?
Yeah, so we're becoming we are becoming a nonprofit in the Cadillac Farmers Market, and we've gotten some really great relationships with Corewell Health and other people kind of already surrounding health education. And some of our sponsors or partners, they would like metrics at the end of our our time, our year of market that they're sponsoring. So we've been working with we've probably ran up like 4 or 5 of those so far. And the only thing that I have found to be really valuable is that you have to have a plan in place in the beginning. And honestly, if you get behind and you don't keep up week to week on your metrics, it's okay as long as you have the information that you can go back to at the end of your completed period. And you make sure you're tracking it the whole time. And at the end, you can make the report. Because as a farmer and a market manager, I know in the summertime, sometimes I'm just tracking. And it's not until the fall that I'm doing the figuring. But it's pretty easy if you just have that way of tracking it. And then there's another woman who's been working with me, Susan, and she is an amazing researcher. Like she blows my mind. So between her ability to stay up to date with current research and also look into the history of things, I feel like we could make very good metrics.
Okay. And these were a little different metrics and goals that I was looking at. I was wondering, is Portia still on the call or did she have to drop off? Portia, are you still here?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have ideas for goal setting and measuring progress for these subcommittees? I just know the work you do, so I wondered if.
Yeah, I don't have anything off the top of my head, but that's definitely
Okay.
something I could look up. I've never specifically done that before.
Okay.
When we check measurement of implementation, we have each group quantify their own metrics. And so you would measure it by whatever you decide to. So it could be
Right.
attendance in hours, in minutes. It just depends. Does anybody else have a suggestion of how we would measure that? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure once we reach consensus, it wouldn't be hard to set up.
Okay. Well, give it some thought because I really do think that will help us. I look at something like public notification and think we did not get that across the finish line. However, I believe that we have made some progress in that in moving how government agencies think about public notification. I guess I'm looking at Abby and others here to see if they would agree that our just loud, obnoxious voices have kind of moved that needle a little bit. And so I think
yeah, absolutely.
And so that should be considered progress on our behalf. And that's what I'm
For
trying to
sure.
figure
And I don't doubt that at all. I agree with you. It's just how do we quantify that in order to convey that progress to others? And when I say quantify, it could be a qualitative summary of progress that was made after we interview members that participated, and they could speak about how do you feel about goal attainment, what was successful that you did, what was less successful, what were strengths, what were challenges, what are your recommendations for improvements. And so we could do a thematic analysis of just comments from the members. I think someone had a suggestion. Maybe I thought I saw a hand.
I think John put his hand up. Yeah, John?
Yeah, you'd be surprised, that if you're thinking about metrics, that the planning that you'll need to go do to actually be able to have measurable metrics is really a benefit. And it does have to come from, the grassroots. It has to come from, I think, from within the committees themselves.
Right,
And then
I do too.
And then it can get socialized, but at least what it'll do is if we commit to at least creating 1 or 2 metrics, that's going to force a more detailed conversation that'll take us from the want to more to the how to with respect to the steps to get there. So I think it's a great idea. But just it may take a little messing around to kind of come up with something. But I think we need to take the time to do that.
I think so too. Okay. Thanks. Good. Rick?
Yeah, I'm trying a software package called Notion. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I'll know more in a couple of weeks. I just downloaded it, and I'm working with somebody else on a project, and we're doing that to track have our goals, track the performance, track our progress, and it's got a free, it's a paid software, but the free part looks pretty good. So I'll give that a try and maybe report back next month. But it's nice, and you can collaborate with it too. You can use it for collaborations. There's a lot of power users out there. I saw it people talking about it on LinkedIn. So, but anyway, I'll give that a try and let everybody know.
Great.
I've
Okay,
heard great
good.
things about that, Rick. People are talking about that at Michigan State. I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, I think it was somebody at Michigan State that was using it, and I kind of got hooked looking at it. So
Yeah,
but
you know what? I'll poke around. I'll poke around too,
Okay.
so that when we meet next month, we can talk about it.
Yep, there's a lot of people talking about it on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's make that part of subcommittees when you get together. If you could start talking about goals and how you're going to measure for progress, I think that'd be a good addition to the conversation. And everybody who's here, if you could figure out a way to sign up for one subcommittee, I will be forever grateful. So we are at 7:30, so we actually got done early. Is there anything else we got to talk about? Any topics
Sandy,
you want for the next?
It looks like there's one more hand up.
Is that Rick's?
It's a leftover, I think, Rick's.
Oh, there we go. All right. Anything else we got to talk about on this very cold winter day?
Seems like we should have at least one thing to celebrate.
I know.
Is there
Daniel's
anybody that's got
hide.
new babies, obviously?
Daniel's putting kids to bed. We should celebrate that,
I thank
anybody?
everybody for coming.
Yes, I do too. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Well, giving you part of your night back. So go enjoy. Thank you for participating. We'll see everyone next month.
Yep.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you on
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thursday, Sandy.
Bye. Yep. I'll see
See
you
ya.
Thursday. Bye.
Okay. See ya. Bye-bye.